Hey YouTube, Scottish Claymore here. So today I am bringing you a deck profile, something I haven't done in a while. And I wanted to do more of these, just to show that I'm not just doing openings on my channel. I also want to do some deck profiles that I have. And I tend to not build too many big meta decks. I like to try to build more rogue decks. But this deck, I've been sort of playtesting it on Dueling Network for a while, and it's actually pretty good. It's basically, for those who don't know, it is the Constellar build, Constellar deck. It uses cards from Hidden Arsenal 7 as well as a couple cards from Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy. And when the stuff from Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy came out, it made the deck really fast. And personally, I almost like it better than Evil Swarms. I think Evil Swarms do really well right now because the meta decks run a lot of high-level monsters. So they get a lot of protection, so they work well against them. But Evil Swarms don't match up well against rogue decks or Fire Fists. But this deck does. It works much better against rogue decks and Fire Fists. Actually, Fire Fists in terms of the meta is probably its best matchup. It doesn't do well against E-Dragons and Prophecies, not really. I guess it depends with that, but it's pretty good. So I'll get into the deck profile, and I have the extra done as well. So I don't have a side for it. I haven't finished refining it, and I'm still sort of testing the deck. But this is what I've got so far. It's a 41 card deck because I'm testing a tech. So let's get into the deck profile, and I'll show you what I've got. So first up, we start with 3 Constellar Pollux. This card is very good for... it's basically like Evil Swarm Caster. It allows you an extra normal summon for any Constellar monster. The new ruling is it can be Veilered, which kind of sucks. So I don't have it in the deck right now, but it's possible that I'll run Safe Zone just to allow this thing to get its effect off sometimes. Because this deck is, in some ways, like Evil Swarms. It has to Xyz to be really good. So here's the card. I know the camera sucks, guys. I'm sorry about that. But it has to Xyz, it has to special summon, and it has to get out, while their boss monster is a rank 5, but he's really good. He's basically like Shien. Well, he's sort of like Shien, but he bounces instead of negating. So it's kind of nice. So yeah, 3 Pollux. Then the next guy, he lets you, what you normally do is go him and you want to normal summon this guy, which is Kaus. And Kaus allows you to basically increase the level of 2 Constellar monsters by 1 each turn, or decrease it by 1 each turn. So he opens up rank 3 and rank 5 plays for Xyz. This card is basically the nuts of the deck. These two together make the deck go pretty fast. And he's necessary at 3, definitely. He's a great card, and he probably makes Constellars more of my favorite deck than Evil Swarms, just because he goes into rank 5s. Evil Swarms don't really have any card that does that. It would be cool if they released more for both of these archetypes. I think that if both of them got a bit more support, they would be much more meta. But this deck is really fast. I really think it's underrated. It's really fun to play, especially when your opponent doesn't know what you're playing. It's even better, and you can usually side into a lot of things if you need to. Next up, I run 3 Algeidi, Constellar Algeidi. This guy's just nice. He allows you an extra. He allows you to special summon when you normal summon this card. You can special summon an extra level 4 Constellar monster from your hand. So he's kind of like Pollux, except that Pollux allows a normal summon, versus this is a special summon. So I guess certain cards can work against Algeidi that don't work against Pollux. Again, he can also get Veilered, but he's just good. He just lets you get into those. He lets you get into some plays with like 3 rank 3s, which is kind of nice. Sorry, 3 rank 4s, which is kind of nice. I have an interesting tech in my extra deck, which I've been testing out, and it works really well because people don't really expect it. So next, I have 3 Constellar Sombre. Sombre is like Turkion for Constellars. He has the exact same effect, almost word for word, except for Constellar instead of Evils, or instead of I Swarm or L Swarm. He basically just lets you, if you have 2 Constellars in your graveyard, you can normal summon this guy, banish one of them, and then add another Constellar from your deck to your hand. And when he does that, you're allowed an extra normal summon, so you can basically normal summon whatever you add to your hand. Normally, you go for Kaus. Kaus is the guy, you want him to go into your rank 5s, basically. But Kaus is the best target for him. Next, I run 2 Constellar Sheratan. He is your Stratos of the deck. He just lets you search, which is nice. As soon as he's normal summoned, you get a plus from your deck to your hand. He's really weak, which kind of sucks. He's 700, but if you can protect him, you can put him in defense mode, and he's got 1900 defense, which is kind of nice. Plus, if you have him and you have, you can save him and you get Kaus on the field, you can go for rank 3, which is okay. It's not the best card, but I like him just for the search. He's nice to have the search for. I'll let him get run over most of the time. It's actually really funny when you have him on the field. They attack you, and they're like, "Oh yeah, 700," and then you drop Honest on them. It just usually destroys their plays. Next, I run 1 tech Constellar Siat. A lot of people don't run him anymore, but I like his sort of Cyber Dragon effect. Yeah, he's just nice to be able to get on the field. If your opponent has no monsters, you can just special summon him, and he can mimic any level of a monster that's on the field or in your graveyard. So with Kaus, he can become level 5, or if you need him for this plus Sheratan, just opens up more rank 3 plays. It just lets you get the Sheratan's effect, and then you can get Sheratan to get like a Zen Mains or Levier, depending on what you want. So I like having him in the deck just to protect these 2 guys. I know a lot of people don't run it, but I also wanted to up the monster count a bit. I felt that I used to run 17 monsters, and now this guy makes it 18. I feel like it just makes it a bit more consistent with with the extra monster. It's nice. And then I'm running 1 Honest, of course. Like all the targets so far are light, so he's required definitely, and he's the biggest troll card probably the deck has. And then so those are it for the Constellar monsters. For the last 2 monsters, I run 2 Fire Fist Bear. I used Bear Tenki build. I like it a lot. It's just nice to be able to get over problem cards with Bear. And, even if he does get Veilered, he's still at rank 4. So, if you can protect him, you can go into something next turn. He's just nice. Plus, Tenki's very live in this deck because Tenki searches him or Kaus. So, he's just good to have the option to go to pop something if you need to have it. I would say he's pretty much staple in this deck. He makes the deck much more consistent, especially when you run him with 3 Tenki. Definitely required for this deck, especially if you're running Bear. But even if you're not, you definitely want to run at least 2 of these for Kaus. Kaus is the main card of the deck, the main deck at least. So you need him in hand. This guy gets Kaus out for you. And the extra 100 is just nice, but you really don't need it. And it just stays on the field, and it's fodder for if you draw Bear and need to pop something. So that's why I run Bear. Just makes these much more consistent. Otherwise, they just take up and clog up your field if you don't have them, or if you don't have Bear to get rid of them. Next, I run for the rest of the spells. I run 2 Lance. Lance is very necessary for this deck. It is important to protect mostly your Xyz monsters, so that you can keep getting their effects off. Or he's also really good because a lot of the Xyz monsters don't have a heck of a lot of attack, so I like to use it offensively too, just to surprise my opponent and let them crash into my cards, or let them attack me, and then I'll flip this on them, and then they basically die. Next, I run 3 Mystical Space Typhoons. Definitely needed for this deck. You need to get your plays off, and back row, if they have back row and you don't have an XZ on board, especially Omega, which makes your Constellars immune to spells and traps, you need to have these to make sure that your plays get off, because if they Bottomless your Kaus or something like that, it's really hard to get it back once it's banished. I don't think you can, actually, except for with Levier. So you need to have these just to make sure your plays go off. It's great to have it. Definitely would run 3. Next, I have Heavy Storm, Dark Hole, Reborn, and Rhoda, because there's a couple warriors in the deck that can take advantage of it. And yeah, so these cards are staples for the build. Next, we go on to spells and traps. Sorry, traps. We have 2 Bottomless. I still like Bottomless, even though if Element Dragons get around it, it's just nice to get rid of problem monsters. Usually, if I'm playing the Dragon matchup, I'm going to lose first game anyway because they're just too powerful for the deck to handle. But Bottomless is nice to have on the field if I need to get rid of a Mecha Phantom Beast or something. Next, I have 2 Torrentials. Definitely very good on this deck, especially with Omega, because you can use Omega's effect. Like you can Torrential and then chain Omega's effect to allow it to protect all your monsters while theirs get destroyed. So Omega makes me want to run 2 of this card. And if I think that they're going to go off next turn and I have Omega on board, I'm definitely setting this. It's just too good not to run for that combo. Next, I run 2 Deprison. I'm on the fence more about Deprison because Deprison doesn't affect the decks as much, the meta decks as much now as it used to. It does well against Evil Swarms if you're doing the matchup, but this deck generally beats Evil Swarms out because Ophion has no effect on it, and the Xyz that you make are generally higher attack. But I still like Deprison. I might switch it out for 2 Compulse because I feel like Compulse is a bit more alive than Deprison. Just because Compulse is activatable, so this won't get hit by, or Compulse. You can chain it to MST and stuff like that. So it's just a bit more versatile than Deprison. You have to wait for the attack on Deprison. So we'll see. Or maybe Mirror Force is another one. I don't run Mirror Force in this deck. And I might switch it out for Mirror Force just for the mass destruction, which is kind of nice. Next, I run 2 Fiendish Chain. I like Fiendish Chain a lot in this deck just because I don't run Veiler, and I need to have some protection from monster effects because Omega doesn't protect against monster effects. So Fiendish Chain is nice just to deal with problem monsters. Then I run the Solemn Duo, standard stuff. I still like them. Just the ability to negate summons and stuff is really good. And the last card I run is 1 Pinpoint Guard. I like Pinpoint Guard because it basically gives you a plus, and it lets you sets you up for a 3 level 4 monster play as well with the deck. It just lets you survive the battle phase if you need it, and then go off next turn if you need to, or gives you some fodder for Xyz. So definitely I like running just the 1 right now. He's my tech choice. The only downside is you have to have cards in graveyard. So drawing this first turn can be a little dead, but usually what happens is if you're going first turn, you're usually making an Xyz, and even if that Xyz doesn't go through, the materials end up in the graveyard. So it just gives you the option to, usually what you'll do is you'll bring Kaus back and just let him sit on the graveyard. Sit on the field in defense position, and he can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. So it's just handy. I really like this card. It lets you plus, and the deck doesn't plus all that much. It does a little bit, but you don't really get too many pluses from the deck. So I just like it to make the deck a bit faster. It actually works really well. I'm actually thinking of teching it into Evil Swarms for the same reason, because it just lets you get that plus out there and keeps your field presence going, keeps you alive if your Ophion gets hit. So I like it. As I said, may tech it into Evil Swarms as well. But XYZ Reborn in Evil Swarms is much more live, so I've been teching that in my Evil Swarm deck, which I will do a deck profile of. I'm just waiting for 1 more card, and then the deck should be ready. So, yeah. Next, we'll go on to the extra deck. It's 15 cards. Naturally, it's a heavily dependent deck on Xyz. So the first one, you need 1 Constellar Ptolemy M7. He's your only rank 6, but he's just great for if you have a Constellar monster that's, out of Xyz materials. This guy's got 2700 attack, so he's a good beater. And the other Constellars don't have that much attack, so it's just good to overlay. If he does end up surviving, you can bring a card from your graveyard to your hand, so he ends up being a bit of a plus in the long run if you can keep him on the field. So I like running just 1 of him. You really don't need more than 1. If you get into a position where you think you need 2, you probably already lost the game, because it's usually your Pleiades that are going to be next. They're going to be the ones that are going to be destroyed, and they're the heart and soul of the extra deck, and one of the best monsters you have, these two. So you run 2 of them for sure. I don't think you need 3. I've never found the need to go into 3. As I said, usually if you get 2 of these out and they're gone, you've probably already lost the game, or are like very close to it. And you don't really have any options to get him out. But he's great. He requires two level 5 light monsters, which all your Constellars are. And with Kaus, he's easily made. And he's basically just, on either player's turn, he can detach an XYZ and target any card on the opponent's side of the field and return it to hand. Actually, it can be any card on the field and return it to hand. So you can actually chain him to Tenki if you really, need the Tenki search. You can use Tenki twice in a turn, which is kind of cool. But he is the heart and soul of the deck. When he runs out of materials, then what I'll do is I'll just overlay for him just to get the extra 200 attack and potentially the graveyard effect. But just because he's only allowed 15 cards in the extra deck, I can only find room to run 2 of these, and I don't think I need to run any more. So yeah, 2 Pleiades. I run 2 Constellar Omega. This is the one from Lord of Tachyon Galaxy. This guy, he basically just, he's your Forbidden Lance, or I guess your Infestation Pandemic for Constellars. He's just the, detached during either player's turn, and your Constellars are safe from spells or traps. Once he's on board, his attack is really low. It's only 2,400, so he needs to be protected. So another reason why I'm considering running Safe Zone in this deck is for him, just to keep him on board, to keep the effect of getting the Lance. And again, once he's done, I could just overlay for Ptolemy. But so far, he's working out great. I have gone into the need to run 2 in a number of situations. Sometimes one gets Bottomless or something like that, and you just want to have the extra option. Or sorry, not Bottomless. Sometimes one gets destroyed, and you just want to have the extra option to go into it again. Especially if you can make like some crazy plays with Monster Reborn, you just want to have the protection so that you can get your plays off. Definitely worth running, and he's quick effect. So if they chain something like Bottomless, you can detach to protect him, because Bottomless, the card is summoned first before Bottomless works, and then you can detach the XE to chain it to Bottomless. Attach the material to chain to Bottomless. So he's really good. I like it. Definitely at 2. Don't think I would run 3 just because I don't have the room, and I like some of the generic XEs as well with the deck. The last Constellar I run is Constellar Praesepe, or however the hell you say his name. He's just basically any Constellar monster on the field, detach 1, you gain 1,000 attack points, and it works during the damage step of either player's turn. He's really good. Because it's in the damage step, nothing can be chained to it. Like you can't chain, certain things. You can't really chain anything to it. So, they can't stop their attack. Actually, that's the main thing, is that if it's in the damage step, they can't stop their attack. So they can't. But then they can't go like Eradicate or Epidemic and sacrifice their monster, or whatever, in the damage step. It can't be done. So their monster almost always gets destroyed if you get the effect off. But I only run 1 because, usually they'll see it coming because they can read. But he's just nice to have a beater. He's a 3,400 beater if you need him. So gets over big stuff. Definitely worth running 1. Next, I have my more generic XZs. So for the generic rank 5, because I run 3 Kaus, I feel like I should run 3 rank 5s. I run a 61 Volcasaurus. I kind of want to find room for a Tyrus, but I like Volcasaurus much better than Tyrus, so I'll run the Volcasaurus, definitely. For the generic rank 4s, Cowboy, staple, wins games. Paladynamo, so good. Almost kind of want to run 2 of him, but I don't think I can get 2 out consistently, but he's just so good at getting around things, negates the effect and lowers the attack to 0 permanently, and even if he gets destroyed, he pluses. He gets you a plus. So I've always liked him, even though his attack is only 2,000, and they can probably get over it next turn by something more powerful. He just gets rid of problem monsters, for sure. Definitely worth running 1. Abyss Dweller for the Mermail matchup, definitely needs him. Gemnite Pearl, mostly for Evil Swarms and things that get out a lot of rank 4s, just to beat over them, since he's the biggest beater for rank 4s. So I like to run 1. Maestroke, self-explanatory, saves itself, etc. Black Ship of Corn. This card is so much fun to run against a number of archetypes. Just it gets around Zen mains, it gets around things because it doesn't destroy, it just sends it to the graveyard, so they don't get their destroy effects. Really like this card, definitely worth running one. And then for rank 3s, I run Levier just to plus from Sombre, or if I need him, just to go into my opponent's banished stuff and take something, as well as wind up Zen mains, just for extra protection. I may take one of these out, I don't know, for another rank 4, but I feel like Levier gives me too many options, and Zen mains is just nice if I open up with like 2 Sheratans or something like that, or a Sheratan and a Siat. I don't have any other plays to go into. Zen mains saves me just for the opening play, so he's nice to have. Anyway, that's the deck profile, guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, or leave a comment and tell me what you thought of the video or what you thought of the deck profile. Definitely any suggestions you have would be appreciated. I'll probably end up taking a card after I do more testing just to see what's not really working well. But overall, the deck runs really fast. I like it, and with the way it runs it's pretty fast. It does really well against the lower meta deck, and then Evil Swarms, so it does really well against Fire Fists and Evil Swarms. But if I were to take it to tournament, I'd probably get my ass handed to me. I think the deck the meta needs to change for the deck to be better, because Evil Swarms. This deck can't deal with dragons, at least not first game. So you've got to have a damn good side deck and hope that you draw well to win the next 2 games against dragons, like Imperial Iron Wall or something like that. But anyway, definitely let me know what you think, and I will see you guys in the next video.